My name is Kris Krohn, and today we are talking about debt. I love debt. If I could go millions more dollars in debt, I would, but I gotta clarify. You see this right here? This is called consumer debt. These things lose value. I own this building right here. This is called investor debt. It actually makes me money. So you gotta understand there's one word, two very different meanings, and today we're gonna explore.
One shot, not a future before. Let's go.
Today we are talking about why the rich love debt and ultimately the difference between consumer debt and investor debt. It's that word, that four-letter word, debt. And there's either a love relationship with it or a hate relationship, but most people only know the hate part because they're all consumers. Today I'm gonna show you how to get rich with debt. You know what I got right here? I got me some credit cards. Most people think credit card debt is bad, but what if it were actually a tool for building wealth? Now, I know it's kind of crazy to think that a credit card can make you money, but I do it all the time. So pay attention. Debt can be a wealth building tool because it allows individuals or businesses to leverage their capital and resources to acquire more income producing assets. By borrowing funds at a lower interest rate than the return on the investment, they can amplify your potential for wealth growth. In other words, let's just say that I can borrow this money at 5%, but over here it can be earning 20%. Well, when I earn the 20, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pay the 5, and guess what's left over? The difference between 20, what I earned, and the 5 I gotta pay, there's 15 points of spread. There's 15% that I make in the middle. That is debt as a weapon for building wealth.
You control the debt. You control everything.
Consumer debt, on the other hand, this is an altogether different story. Consumer debt is debt used for personal expenses, often with high interest rates. Examples include credit card debt, auto loans, personal loans. Consumer debt is typically non-tax deductible and can hinder financial progress due to high interest. So it's like, hey, I whipped out my credit card and I bought something that was for personal use. In other words, it wasn't designed to make money. It was going to cost me money. And now I have to pay the interest on it. That's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47. It's a trap.
There are definitely some pitfalls to the consumer debt game. Number one, interest accumulates and that erodes wealth. So it's like, hey, my credit card has an interest rate of 5%, 11%, 18%, 22%, and every month I don't pay it off, my interest keeps climbing. If you buy enough things on credit and interest keeps going up higher and higher, eventually it can eat you alive. Like even when you're paying the minimum payment, you're actually still going even more into debt. You also have high monthly payments. You have limited tax benefits, as in like none. And then it ties up financial resources. So all of a sudden it's like, shoot, I could have been saving this money for investing, but instead I was paying off credit card debt. So I'm hosed. And then of course, there's investor debt. Remember, this is debt used to finance investments that generate income or appreciate in value. In other words, the thing that I'm buying, does it go up in value or does it go down in value? I remember my wife, she wanted this one car early on in marriage. It was like this periwinkle Toyota Camry. And we had saved up like $13,000 cash to buy this thing because my wife didn't want to go into debt. And I remember what it felt like to go to the store and actually plunk down cash, buy the car, and I felt really accomplished. But the Kris Krohn of today would have called the Kris Krohn of then stupid. You know why? That money should have been used for investing. The investments could have covered the interest on actually that car right there. But I didn't do that because I didn't know better. I didn't have Kris Krohn on YouTube like you have right now. Are you a subscriber? Mortgages and business loans are the main example of investor debt. They provide the best opportunities for investing. Like I bought a franchise, or I bought a business, or I'm starting a business. I'm buying real estate. All of these things are designed to actually make you money. So going into debt for them, you should never have any heartburn. You should say yes. And lastly, investor debt is potentially tax deductible and leverages investments for higher returns. Bottom line is, investor debt, you want to accumulate as much of this debt as possible. If I could sign on the dotted line right here, right now for like, I don't know, $10 million, boom, I would sign for that. Here are the biggest benefits of investor debt. Low cost financing for income producing assets. It magnifies investment returns. It enhances diversification, and it produces tax advantages and deductions. Bottom line is, everything about this smells good.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
The cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
Okay, Kris Krohn, can you give me an example of what this looks like? Check this out. Imagine taking out a mortgage to purchase a rental property that generates rental income that not only covers the debt service, but it provides additional cash flow. Well, this enables individuals to build wealth over time through the combination of their initial investment and the borrowed capital. This makes debt an essential component of many successful wealth building strategies. In other words, my friends, buying real estate, if it's the right kind of real estate with positive cash flow, that's going to make sense all day long. And a number of businesses will also make sense too. There are three primary things that the wealthy are interested in when they go into debt. Number one, the rich strategically use debt to acquire assets. So in other words, they don't just like save their money. It's like, wow, look at what I saved over 20 years. Now I can finally invest. They're like, psh, are you kidding me? We're gonna borrow the money and invest today. Time is my number one asset. I don't wanna lose time while I'm just trying to accumulate and save for an investment years down the road. Number two, they embrace long-term wealth building. Using debt to build wealth can take time and it can result in massive ROI. Like when I buy a home, and then 3 years later, I sell it and I buy 2 more. And then a few years later, I sell it and I buy 5 more. Well, I wake up in 20 years and let's say I have 15 properties now. It started with 1, it turned into 15. The positive cash flow on all 15 of those might be enough to entirely retire me, might give me a net worth over $1 million. Debt made that possible. So debt was good because debt made you money. And number 3, they focus on positive cash flow and continuously evaluating risk and return. In other words, it's like this rule. If I'm gonna buy an asset, guess what it has to do? It has to make me money. I'll borrow money from the bank all day long to buy an asset that makes me money. So let's just say I borrow all of this money right here. And someone's like, oh my gosh, I'd feel so stressed if I went into debt and all of a sudden I owed this money to the bank. But I put it over here and I bought an asset. And what this asset did is it produced this every year. This is the interest. And by the way,
I'm going out tonight.
That's what I owe the bank for what I borrowed, but look how much more I made. There's enough to pay that off. I get to pocket the rest of this. This debt is making me wealthy. Let me share with you my favorite way of leveraging debt to make millions of dollars. It looks like this. If I take $50,000 and if I put it into real estate that earns a minimum of 25% ROI, guess what happens over 20 years? It grows into $4.3 million. Now, all I started with was this, 50 grand. What did I wind up with? $4.3 million. It was passive. It happened quietly in the background, happened over 20 years. And you know what? I'm probably a couple $1 million in debt because of all the real estate that I own in the portfolio with leverage. But now, guess what I can do after 20 years? I can pay off all of that debt if I want and have $4.3 million left over. This is what I'm doing in the real world, except my returns are higher. And if you want to see what they are, and if you have $50,000 that's sitting around in a 401k or IRA or equity in a home, I'm going to tell you right now, click the link below and learn about partnering with me. Here's the cool part. I'll do 100% of the work and all you have to do is put up the money. I've done this with over 1,000 people and guess what? $2 billion worth of real estate later on 6,500 projects, it's working beautifully. If you want to see how it works, if you want to see the stats and the numbers, then click the link below, learn about partnering with me because you might have my cell phone next and we might be partnering to make millions of dollars in real estate. Kris, I am just not okay with debt. You do have other alternatives. For example, you could learn how to wholesale real estate. You literally can make hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars every single year. It's very doable, and then you can just be old school and do everything cash. If you want to learn what that looks like, click right here. Let me show you.